After a tragic accident, a ruthless CEO wakes up to a stranger claiming to be his wife. No memory, no trust. Is she his wife, or a con artist after his empire? The room was quiet, filled with the soft, sterile hum of hospital machines. Alex Monroe slowly opened his eyes, blinking against the harsh fluorescent lights above. A dull, throbbing pain spread from the back of his skull, and his thoughts were hazy, disjointed. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy, his muscles sluggish. As his vision cleared, he became aware of a figure sitting beside the bed. A woman, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders, her face a mixture of relief and worry. "Alex." Her voice was soft, trembling. He squinted, trying to piece together who she was. His mind felt like a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. Who are you?" He rasped, his throat dry. Her eyes widened, filling with unshed tears. She reached out, brushing his hand with her fingertips. "It's me, Lauren. Your wife." Wife. The word hit him like a cold wave. Alex's brow furrowed as he searched his memory, but there was nothing, just a vast, empty void where his life should be. A nurse walked in, noting his awakened state. Mr. Monroe, you're finally with us. You've been out for a few days. How are you feeling?" Alex barely registered her words. His gaze locked on the woman claiming to be his wife. I don't remember her," he admitted, his voice laced with confusion and unease. The nurse's face fell slightly. "That's not uncommon with head trauma. Your chart indicates retrograde amnesia. Sometimes memories return on their own, sometimes they don't. It can be temporary or permanent." Lauren squeezed his hand tighter. "It's okay, Alex. We'll get through this together. I promise." He wanted to believe her, wanted to feel some flicker of familiarity. But as he looked into her warm, hopeful eyes, all he felt was a chilling emptiness. The nurse excused herself, leaving them alone. Lauren leaned closer, her lips trembling. "You really don't remember me?" Alex shook his head slowly. "I'm sorry. I don't know you." Her shoulders dropped, the pain evident in her gaze. But then she straightened, determination hardening her features. "We've been married for 3 years. You're the CEO of Monroe Enterprises. You love golf, black coffee, and reading the financial news every morning. You always say that the world doesn't wait for the weak." Alex swallowed hard. The facts felt right. They fit the fragments of himself he could still grasp. But why couldn't he place her face? Why did his heart feel nothing when she looked at him? Lauren pulled a folded photograph from her bag and handed it to him. It was a snapshot of them on a beach, his arm around her waist, both of them smiling against the sunset. He traced the outline of his own face, familiar yet foreign. "I don't remember this," he whispered. Lauren wiped at her cheek, forcing a smile. "It's okay. We'll get through this. You're still you. I'll remind you of everything, one day at a time." As she spoke, his mind throbbed with frustration and a creeping suspicion. Something didn't feel right. She was too calm, too collected for a wife who had just almost lost her husband. What was she hiding? Alex glanced at her again, trying to detect any hint of deception. He couldn't shake the feeling that behind her loving words, there was a truth she wasn't sharing, a truth that could change everything. Lauren insisted on staying by his side, her hand never leaving his, even when the nurse returned to check his vitals. Alex watched her carefully, trying to piece together fragments of memory, but nothing surfaced. Once they were alone again, Lauren offered him a cup of water, her hands steady despite the tension in her eyes. "You don't have to push yourself," she said gently. "Your memory will come back. The doctors said to give it time." He nodded absently, taking a small sip, but the unease inside him grew stronger. He didn't understand why he couldn't feel anything for her. Shouldn't there be some instinct, some primal connection to the woman he had supposedly loved for years? "Tell me more," he said suddenly. "About us." Lauren smiled softly, but there was a hint of strain behind it. "We met at a charity gala 3 years ago. You were there on behalf of Monroe Enterprises. I was volunteering with the event coordination team. You spilled champagne on my dress, and I called you a pompous ass. You laughed and said you'd buy me a new one. A faint chuckle escaped him despite the heaviness in his chest. Sounds like I deserved it. She relaxed, her posture less rigid. We dated for a year before you proposed. It was on the rooftop of your favorite restaurant. You said I made you feel alive, like there was more to life than just business deals and profit margins. He nodded slowly, but her words felt rehearsed, too polished. And what do I do for fun? She hesitated just for a second, but it was enough. You like golfing and working out in the mornings. You always wake up before sunrise to run. Alex frowned. And at work? Who are my closest associates? Her lips parted as if caught off guard. Well, there's Mark, your CFO, and Julian, your childhood friend who's also your legal advisor. They're always with you during major deals. His head pounded, frustration clawing at him. Why can't I remember? Why does it feel like I'm missing something? Lauren placed a hand on his shoulder, guiding him to lie back. You're just overwhelmed. Rest, okay? I'll be right here. As he closed his eyes, the sound of her soft humming filled the room, a tune he didn't recognize. When he woke again, it was dark outside. Lauren was asleep in the chair, her head tilted awkwardly. A shadow shifted by the doorway, and a man in his late 30s stepped inside, his suit immaculate, eyes sharp and observant. Alex. The name hit him like a slap. He knew that voice. Julian? The man nodded, his expression caught between relief and suspicion. Thank God you're awake. The board has been on edge. How are you feeling? Alex glanced at Lauren before answering. Lost. Confused. They said I have amnesia. Julian's gaze flicked to Lauren, his lips thinning. She's been here the whole time? Yes. She said she's my wife. Julian didn't react immediately, but something in his stance shifted, tension coiling like a spring. Yeah, he said after a moment. She is. There was something unspoken hanging between them. Alex couldn't pinpoint it, but the unease only grew. Is there something I should know? Alex pressed, his instincts screaming that something was off. Julian's jaw tightened, but he gave a tight smile. No, just take it easy. You've been through a lot. When Julian left, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was being lied to, not just by Lauren, but by everyone around him. Who could he trust? And why did it feel like the truth was slipping further out of his grasp? The next morning, Alex found himself alone in the hospital room, sunlight streaming through the blinds. The scent of antiseptic lingered, and his head throbbed with a dull ache. He was lost in thought when a nurse entered, carrying a tray of breakfast. Good morning, Mr. Monroe. How are you feeling today? Alex gave a half-hearted smile, like I'm trapped in someone else's life. The nurse gave him a sympathetic nod. Amnesia can feel that way. But you're lucky. Your wife's been by your side nonstop. Not everyone has that kind of support. Alex glanced at the empty chair where Lauren had been. Yeah, I guess I am. After the nurse left, Alex pushed himself to sit up. His phone was on the bedside table, brand new, no personalizations, probably a replacement after the accident. He picked it up and hesitated before dialing. Julian picked up on the second ring. Alex, how are you doing? I need to ask you something, Alex said firmly. About Lauren. Are we happy? There was a long pause on the other end. Why do you ask? I don't know. It's just, something feels wrong. Like I'm missing a big piece of the puzzle. Julian hesitated. You've been stressed lately. Work's been relentless. Maybe that's what you're feeling. Lauren's been supportive through it all. Alex rubbed his temples. But why can't I remember loving her? Shouldn't I feel something? It's normal, Julian reassured him. Memory loss can distort your emotions too. Just give it time. Before Alex could push further, the door opened, and Lauren walked in carrying a bouquet of lilies. Her smile was bright, but there was something almost forced about it. Flowers for my favorite patient, she chimed, setting the bouquet on the windowsill. Thanks, Alex replied, forcing a smile. Julian cleared his throat on the phone. I'll check in later. Take care, Alex. After he hung up, Lauren sat by his side. You should eat. The doctor says you'll recover faster with proper nutrition. As he picked at the food, Lauren chattered on about their plans once he was discharged, how she'd arranged for a private nurse, how the house staff was preparing his favorite meals. But Alex's thoughts kept drifting. He couldn't help but wonder why his own memories didn't match the picture she painted. After breakfast, Lauren stepped out to take a call. Curious and restless, Alex glanced around the room and noticed a small leather-bound notebook tucked beside his phone. He opened it, expecting notes or reminders. Instead, he found a list of names, staff members, their roles, and a few personal notes. One name caught his eye: Isabella, housekeeper, loves gardening, always smiling. He didn't recognize it. In fact, most of the names seemed unfamiliar. Just then, the door creaked open, and an elderly woman with a kind face peeked in. "Mr. Monroe, I heard you were awake." Alex blinked. "Isabella." She smiled warmly. "Yes, sir. I'm so glad you're all right. We were all worried." Alex gestured for her to come closer. "You work at the house?" She nodded. "For years now. You've always been so kind to me, sir." When I heard about the accident, I couldn't believe it. Something about her presence was comforting. "Can I ask you something personal?" Isabella's face softened. "Of course. What's my relationship with Lauren like?" The question seemed to catch her off guard. She hesitated before replying, carefully choosing her words. "You've been very busy lately. Sometimes it felt like you were living in different worlds. But she's been very dedicated since the accident." Alex's brow furrowed, and before the accident, Isabella bit her lip. "I don't want to speak out of turn, but there were days you seemed distant. Not just with her, with everyone. Like your mind was somewhere else." Alex leaned back, processing her words. "Was I happy?" Her eyes glistened with empathy. "I think you wanted to be, but something was always holding you back." Before he could ask more, Lauren returned, her gaze flicking between them. "Isabella, I didn't know you were here." Isabella bowed her head. "Just checking on him, ma'am. I'll get back to work." When she was gone, Lauren's smile tightened. "What did she say?" "Nothing much," Alex replied, sensing her unease. Lauren moved closer, brushing her fingers through his hair. "You need to rest. Don't worry about anything right now. Just focus on getting better." But as she kissed his forehead, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was at the center of a web of lies, and Lauren was hiding more than just her own fears. The following days were a blur of hospital routines and fleeting memories. Alex felt trapped between the world he knew and the world he couldn't remember. Each time Lauren visited, he watched her carefully, trying to piece together the fragments of their life. One afternoon, while Lauren was at a meeting, Julian stopped by, bringing a bag of clothes and some personal items. "Thought you might want something familiar," Julian said, placing the bag on the chair. "Thanks," Alex replied, his eyes still glued to the window. Julian pulled up a seat, his tone casual but curious. "How's it going? Any more memories coming back?" Alex shook his head. "No, it's like living in someone else's life. I keep looking at Lauren, trying to feel something, but it's blank, just this odd, distant feeling." Julian leaned forward, choosing his words carefully. "You've been under a lot of pressure. The business hasn't been easy lately. Maybe your brain just shut down to cope." Alex turned to him. "You said Lauren's been supportive, right?" Julian nodded. "Yeah, she's been dedicated. Always by your side." "Why?" Alex hesitated. "Is there something I should know? About her? About us?" Julian's face remained neutral, but his eyes flickered with something unspoken. "Alex, your marriage was complicated. You always kept your private life separate from business. It's just how you were. Lauren supported you, but you never let her into the business side of things." Alex frowned. "Was I happy?" Julian gave a soft sigh. "You never really talked about it. You just pushed forward, always focused on the next deal, the next success." Before Alex could question him further, the door opened, and Isabella entered, carrying a tray of food. "Afternoon, Mr. Monroe. Thought you might be hungry." Julian stood up. "I'll give you some space. Rest up, all right?" As he left, Isabella set the tray on the small table, her movements gentle and purposeful. "You're looking better today," she remarked. "Thanks," Alex mumbled, his mind still spinning. Isabella hesitated, then spoke quietly. "Sometimes, memories come back when you least expect them. Maybe visiting familiar places could help." Alex considered it. "Like home," she nodded. "Or somewhere that meant something to you before." All this. An idea sparked in his mind. "Isabella, do you know if I used to go anywhere specific to clear my head? Somewhere important to me?" She looked thoughtful. "Well, You used to take long drives up to the hills just outside the city. Said it helped you think. You'd come back calmer, like you'd sorted something out. Alex nodded slowly. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Later that night, as he lay in the dim hospital room, fragments of a memory flashed before him. Driving along winding roads, music playing softly, a sense of freedom washing over him. But before he could grasp the details, the vision slipped away, leaving only a sense of longing. When Lauren returned, her face softened seeing him awake. Hey, you're still up? Yeah, Alex replied. Just thinking. She moved closer, her hand brushing against his. What about? He hesitated, unsure whether to confront her. About us. About who I was before this. Lauren smiled gently. You're still the same man. My husband. The one who built everything from the ground up. But what if I wasn't happy? Alex blurted out. Lauren's smile faltered, a flicker of fear in her eyes. What do you mean? I don't remember us being happy. I don't remember anything. Shouldn't I feel something when I look at you? Lauren swallowed hard, composing herself. It's the memory loss. It's messing with your emotions. Give it time. Alex looked away, unsure. Maybe, after she left, he couldn't shake the unease brewing inside him. Something about Lauren's response felt rehearsed, almost too perfect. He wondered if he'd been living a lie before the accident, and if Lauren was part of the reason why. The next morning, when the doctor visited, Alex asked the question that had been gnawing at him. When can I leave? The doctor gave a reassuring smile. We'll run a few more tests, but if everything checks out, tomorrow's a possibility. As the doctor left, Alex knew what he needed to do. Get out of the sterile hospital walls and back into the world to rediscover his life firsthand. And most importantly, find out who he really was before it all slipped away. The next morning, Alex was finally discharged. Lauren insisted on driving him home, her demeanor upbeat yet cautious. As they pulled into the driveway of their luxurious penthouse, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of disconnection. The place was sleek, modern, exactly how he would imagine a successful CEO to live, but it felt hollow, more like a display than a home. Inside, everything was pristine. Lauren fussed over him, making sure he was comfortable, but Alex's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't stop thinking about what Julian had said, the implication that he'd built walls between his personal and professional life. As Lauren busied herself in the kitchen, Alex wandered around the penthouse, taking in the framed photos on the walls. Most were of him at corporate events, shaking hands with business partners, cutting ribbons at openings. Few were personal, and the ones that were showed Lauren smiling at galas, always by his side. Yet, he noticed one detail. There were almost no pictures of them as a couple outside of formal settings. His phone buzzed, a message from Julian. How's it feel to be home? Call me when you get a chance. He pocketed the phone, just as Lauren returned with a tray of tea. She handed him a cup, her eyes bright with forced cheerfulness. I thought you might like some tea. It's your favorite, green with a hint of mint. Alex took a sip, the taste familiar but oddly bland. Thanks. Lauren hesitated. You don't like it? No, it's fine. Just tastes different. An awkward silence settled between them. Lauren looked like she was waiting for something. For him to reassure her, to tell her that everything would be okay. After lunch, Alex slipped out onto the balcony, needing air. The city stretched before him, a sprawling landscape of opportunity and power, his domain. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd been living on autopilot, driven by ambition rather than fulfillment. Just then, he heard Lauren on the phone inside, her voice hushed. Curious, he moved closer, catching fragments of her conversation. Yes, I know. He's still adjusting. I'm doing my best to make him feel at home. No, I haven't told him about the merger yet. I'm waiting for the right moment. Merger? His company was merging? Why hadn't Julian mentioned it? As Lauren ended the call, Alex walked back inside, pretending he hadn't overheard. Who was that? He asked casually. Lauren hesitated, then smiled. Just my friend, checking in on us. Everyone's worried after what happened. Alex forced a nod, but suspicion gnawed at him. Was Lauren hiding something from him? Later that evening, after Lauren had gone to bed, Alex scrolled through his phone, looking for recent emails or messages related to the merger. Instead, he found something unexpected, a contact saved as M with a string of messages. I'm worried about you. Please call me. Are you okay? You haven't been yourself lately. Did you get my letter? We need to talk. A cold shiver ran through him. Who was M? Why would he have been in touch with someone so persistently without mentioning it to Lauren? The next day, while Lauren was at a meeting, Alex decided to explore the city. He found himself driving to the hills outside town, where Isabella had suggested he might find some memories. As he parked and took in the familiar landscape, flashes of his past came rushing back. A sunset, a laugh, the scent of wildflowers. Lost in thought, he didn't notice the figure approaching until she was right beside him. A woman with auburn hair and piercing green eyes, familiar yet elusive. "Alex?" she asked tentatively. He turned, recognition flickering. "Do I know you?" Her face fell, but she composed herself quickly. "Emily. We used to know each other." Alex couldn't place her, but there was something about her presence that stirred emotions he couldn't explain. "What are you doing here?" he asked cautiously. Emily glanced at the hills. "I come here when I need to think. Didn't expect to see you. It's been a while." A while? Had he known her before the accident? As they stood there in the cool breeze, something inside him whispered that this woman held a piece of the puzzle he'd been missing. Emily hesitated, seeming to weigh her next words carefully. "You don't remember me, do you?" Alex shook his head slowly. "No, but I feel like I should." She gave a bittersweet smile. "We used to come here together. You always said it was the only place where you could be yourself. Away from the city, the pressure, everything." The revelation hit him like a wave. Had he been living a double life? One of ruthless ambition and one of quiet escape? And where did Lauren fit into all of this? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Alex felt the weight of his lost memories pressing down on him. Whoever Emily was, she seemed to know a version of him that he had long buried or forgotten entirely. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that Emily held the key to his forgotten past. As they stood on the hill, bathed in the fading light, his mind raced with questions. "What do you mean we used to come here?" he pressed, trying to make sense of it all. Emily hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her jacket. "It was before you left. You changed so much after that." "After what?" Alex's voice was sharper than he intended, a mix of frustration and desperation. She looked at him, her eyes both sad and understanding. "After you moved to the city, after you chose your career over everything else." Alex frowned, the pieces not quite fitting. "I don't understand. Why didn't I remember any of this? Why didn't anyone tell me?" Emily bit her lip, debating whether to speak. Finally, she took a breath. "Lauren didn't want you to. She said it was better if you focused on your life now. On the company." His stomach tightened at the implication. Had Lauren deliberately kept this part of his life hidden from him? "Why? I should go," Emily said abruptly, stepping back. "I didn't mean to stir things up." "No, wait," Alex called after her. "Please, I need to know more. I need to understand." Emily hesitated, but the vulnerability in his eyes stopped her. "We used to talk about everything here. Dreams, fears. You wanted to escape the pressure of living up to your family's expectations. You said you'd rather be happy than rich." He couldn't imagine ever saying that. He'd spent his entire adult life chasing success, building his empire. The idea that he'd once craved simplicity was foreign, yet oddly comforting. "Why didn't I choose that life?" he whispered. Emily gave a soft, wistful smile. "Because you thought you had to prove yourself. To your father, to the world, even to me." Silence stretched between them. Alex glanced back at the hill, the memories swirling but still just out of reach. He turned back to find Emily already walking away, her figure disappearing down the path. When he got home, Lauren was on the phone, speaking in hushed tones. She ended the call quickly when she saw him. "There you are. I was starting to worry. You didn't answer my texts," she said, her tone overly cheerful. "I needed to clear my head," he replied. Lauren's eyes flickered with concern. "Are you okay? You've been distant since the accident." Alex met her gaze, trying to find the words. "Lauren, did you know I used to spend time at the hills? With someone named Emily?" Lauren's face paled, and for a split second, guilt flashed across her features. But she quickly composed herself. Alex, you had a lot of casual friends back then. You were always restless, looking for distractions. I didn't think it mattered. Didn't think it mattered? His tone was sharper than intended. She made it sound like we were close. Lauren's expression hardened. You had a phase where you thought you didn't want the life we have now. But you got over it. You realized that success and security were more important. Something about her words felt rehearsed, like she'd been waiting for this conversation. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that she was trying to steer his thoughts in a specific direction. Later that night, he lay awake, his mind replaying his conversation with Emily. Why had he left that life behind? Had he truly chosen his career over love? Or was there more to the story? His phone buzzed, a new message from Julian. Can we meet tomorrow? There's something important you need to know. The cryptic message left Alex uneasy. Was Julian going to reveal something about the business? Or was it about his past? The next day, they met at a small cafe downtown. Julian looked tense, his usually relaxed demeanor strained. Alex, I've been doing some digging, Julian began. Something about the company's financials doesn't add up. And there's more. Something about Lauren's involvement in the merger. I didn't want to believe it at first. What do you mean? Alex demanded, his pulse quickening. Julian hesitated. There's a clause in the merger deal. If something happens to you, if you're deemed unfit to run the company, Lauren gets full control. And she's been pushing for the merger to go through faster than usual. Shock coursed through Alex. You think she planned this? My accident. Julian's eyes were full of uncertainty. I don't know, but the timing, it's suspicious. And then there's this. He handed Alex a folder. Inside were records showing that Lauren had been meeting with one of their business competitors weeks before the accident. Alex's mind reeled. Had Lauren been manipulating him? Was their marriage just another calculated move? He closed the folder, his hands trembling. I need to find out the truth. Julian nodded. Be careful. If Lauren's involved, she's not going to give up control easily. That night, Alex confronted Lauren. Why didn't you tell me about the merger? Or about meeting with our competitor? Lauren's eyes widened, and for a moment, genuine fear flashed across her face. Who's been feeding you lies? Answer me, Alex demanded. Lauren's face crumpled, but Alex couldn't tell if it was real or an act. I was trying to protect you, Alex. You're not the same since the accident. I didn't want you to worry. I was just making sure the company stayed secure. By cutting me out of my own life, he shot back. Lauren's shoulders sagged. I did what I thought was best. You've been distant for years, always prioritizing business. I thought you'd given up on us. Her confession made his anger waver. Had he really been so consumed by ambition that he'd pushed her away? Or was she spinning another web of lies? As he looked at her, torn between doubt and hope, one question lingered. Was Lauren truly protecting him? Or had she orchestrated everything from the start? The room felt colder than ever as Alex stared at Lauren, searching her face for any hint of honesty. Was she truly trying to protect him? Or had she meticulously orchestrated this chaos from the beginning? Lauren's eyes filled with tears, and for a moment, Alex hesitated. It was hard to reconcile this vulnerable woman in front of him with the calculating figure Julian suspected. Alex, please. You've been so distant since the accident, Lauren pleaded. I was just trying to hold everything together. The company, our life. You don't understand the pressure I was under. He clenched his jaw, fighting the conflict in his chest. So, you thought keeping me in the dark was the answer? Taking over behind my back? It wasn't like that. Lauren's voice cracked. I was terrified. You came home from the hospital, and you were different, distant. It felt like I was losing you. Her words struck a nerve, making him falter. Had his accident truly changed him that much? Was it possible he had withdrawn without even realizing it? But the thought of her secret meetings with their business rival wouldn't leave his mind. Then why meet with the competitor? Why push the merger so hard? Lauren wiped her eyes, her gaze shifting. It was damage control. They wanted to exploit the situation after your accident. I thought I could manage it. I didn't want you to feel like you were losing control, like your father did before he stepped down. His father, the powerful man who had once built the company from the ground up, only to lose his edge in his later years. Alex remembered his father's pride and how devastated he was when he could no longer run things himself. I thought I was helping, Lauren whispered. But I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. I didn't want to lose you, Alex. I just didn't know what else to do. A heavy silence hung between them. Alex wanted to believe her, to think that she had acted out of love and fear rather than ambition. But he couldn't ignore the feeling that something still didn't add up. Later that night, after Lauren had fallen asleep, Alex couldn't shake his unease. He called Julian, who picked up on the second ring. Any updates? Alex asked. I've been looking into the company records again, Julian replied. There's something strange. A series of anonymous investments started flowing in right after your accident. They're linked to a holding company, one that traces back to Lauren's old business associate. An associate from before we met? Alex asked, trying to piece it together. Exactly. Someone who vanished after you took over your father's business. It's as if they were waiting for you to slip up or be pushed out. A cold shiver crept down Alex's spine. Was Lauren part of a plan to replace him as CEO? Or had she been manipulated too? The next day, he decided to confront Lauren again. He found her in the garden, trimming the rose bushes with careful precision. Lauren, why didn't you tell me about the anonymous investments? He asked, his tone more curious than accusatory. She paused, glancing at him with a puzzled expression. Investments? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's linked to your old associate, the one from before we met. Why would they suddenly invest in the company? Lauren's face grew pale, and her hands trembled. That's impossible. I haven't spoken to him in years. After we got married, I cut ties. You know that. The sincerity in her voice gave him pause. Was she really unaware, or had she mastered the art of deception? That evening, Alex decided to dig deeper on his own. He went to his father's old study, a place he hadn't visited in ages. There, tucked away in a drawer, he found a stack of old business cards and notes. One of them bore the name of Lauren's former associate. As he examined the card, his phone buzzed with a message from Julian. You need to see this. Meet me at the office. When Alex arrived, Julian was waiting with a file in hand. Found something else, Julian said grimly. The associate set up a shell company right after your accident. They've been funneling money into projects tied to your family's business. It's like they were preparing for a takeover. But why would Lauren be involved? Alex asked, still trying to make sense of it. Julian hesitated. What if she wasn't? What if they're setting her up to make it look that way? It wouldn't be the first time someone used a spouse as a scapegoat in a hostile takeover. The idea hit Alex like a punch to the gut. Had he been accusing the wrong person all along? Had his distrust driven Lauren into the hands of his enemies without her even realizing it? As he left the office, his mind swirled with conflicting thoughts. The pieces didn't quite fit, but one thing was clear. He needed to protect his wife from whatever plot was unfolding, whether she was involved or not. When he returned home, Lauren was waiting, her eyes red from crying. Alex, I don't want to fight anymore. I just want to understand what's happening to us, she whispered. He sat beside her, his heart heavy with guilt and confusion. Me too. I just want the truth. They sat in silence, the weight of their fractured trust pressing down on them both. As dawn broke, Alex knew that finding the truth wouldn't just save his company. It might be the only way to save his marriage. The next morning, Alex barely slept, his mind buzzing with possibilities. He needed to get to the bottom of the situation before it tore his life apart. He left the house quietly, not wanting to disturb Lauren, and headed straight to Julian's office. Julian greeted him with a determined look. I dug deeper into that shell company. You were right. Someone's trying to make it look like Lauren is involved. The transactions from a shell company to your business are routed through multiple accounts, all leading back to one name, Martin Grayson. Alex froze. Martin Grayson, the former CFO of his father's company. The man who had been fired after embezzling funds and trying to sabotage the business years ago. He had disappeared without a trace, and no one had seen him since. Grayson? I thought he was long gone, Alex muttered, piecing it together. He's been hiding in plain sight, Julian replied, using his connections to set up new ventures under different names. It looks like he's been waiting for a moment like this, to pounce when you were most vulnerable. A surge of anger washed over Alex. Grayson had not only targeted his business, but his family, manipulating Lauren into looking like the mastermind. Julian continued. He must have known about your accident. I bet he saw it as the perfect opportunity to regain control. Determined, Alex called Lauren to meet him at the office. When she arrived, her face was tense, but the worry in her eyes softened when she saw him. I need you to listen carefully, Alex said, guiding her to a seat. Do you remember Martin Grayson? Lauren nodded slowly. Yes, I remember you mentioning him once. He was the one who tried to take down your father, right? He's back, Alex said bluntly. And he's been using your name, your connections, to make it look like you're in on his scheme. Her eyes widened. What? How? I swear, Alex, I didn't know. I believe you, he interrupted, his tone firm. But we need to prove it. I think Grayson's been using your old business contacts without your knowledge. We need to trace the financial transactions and see where they lead. Julian pulled up the files, and together they sifted through the data. As they examined each document, Lauren's face grew paler. One particular email thread caught her attention. It's from an old friend of mine, Tina. She used to work with me before we got married. She wouldn't be involved in anything illegal, would she? Lauren whispered, her voice trembling. Julian clicked on the email. It was a series of exchanges between Tina and a private investor, Grayson, using a fake identity. The emails discussed a partnership opportunity involving Lauren's connections. He must have used Tina to get to you, Alex murmured. Tears filled Lauren's eyes. I thought she was just checking in on me after the accident. I had no idea. It's not your fault, Alex reassured her, placing his hand over hers. Grayson's playing dirty, and he knew how to manipulate the situation. But we have to expose him before he does more damage. Julian suggested setting a trap, using one of Grayson's own schemes against him. They crafted a plan to lure him into making a mistake, forging a fake investment opportunity that would entice Grayson into revealing himself. Lauren hesitated. What if it doesn't work? What if he figures out it's a trap? Alex squeezed her hand. We'll make it convincing. You'll act like you're still on board, just playing your part as if nothing changed. Once he shows his face, we'll have him. That evening, Alex and Lauren rehearsed the setup, preparing for Grayson to take the bait. They coordinated with Julian, who arranged for hidden cameras and secure servers to record the encounter. The next day, Lauren sent the invitation to Grayson, claiming to have secured a lucrative business deal that would finalize the merger. She mentioned Alex's ongoing recovery and hinted at needing discreet assistance. Within hours, Grayson responded, agreeing to meet at a high-end restaurant, eager for what he thought was the final step in his plan. When Grayson arrived, he was greeted by Lauren's warm smile. I'm so glad you could make it, she said, guiding him to a private booth. Grayson looked smug. I knew you'd come around. You've always been smart, Lauren. Smarter than Alex ever gave you credit for. Lauren forced a smile, playing along. It just took me a while to see the bigger picture. As they spoke, Alex and Julian monitored the conversation from a secure room, recording every word. Lauren expertly guided the discussion to the investment, subtly hinting at her supposed involvement. Finally, Grayson let his guard down, boasting about how he had been planning this for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. Once the merger goes through, Alex will be out of the picture for good. And you and I will take over. That was the confession they needed. Alex signaled Julian to alert security. As Grayson tried to seal the deal, Alex entered the room, his presence sending a shockwave through Grayson. You're under arrest, Alex announced as the authorities stepped in, having listened to the entire conversation. Grayson's eyes widened in fury and disbelief. You set me up. No, Lauren corrected, standing tall beside Alex. You did that to yourself. You underestimated us. As the police escorted Grayson away, Lauren looked at Alex, relief flooding her face. We did it. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. Together, just like we should have from the start. In the aftermath, Alex publicly cleared Lauren's name, exposing Grayson's plot to take over the company. The business community rallied behind them, respecting their unity and resilience. That night, as they stood on the balcony, the city lights stretching before them, Alex kissed Lauren softly. I'm sorry I doubted you, he whispered. Lauren smiled, her fingers brushing his cheek. I'm sorry I didn't trust you enough to tell you everything. From now on, no more secrets. He pulled her closer, realizing that despite the chaos, they had emerged stronger, partners in life and love, ready to face whatever challenges came next.